It's Super Videos back at you for another video. This is going to be a comic book issue review, issue 161, The Whisper War, part 5 of 6. So to start off the issue, we start with basically getting to see what happens at the hilltop because we know it's being attacked and it's on fire and there's archers from the Whisperer side just attacking them, and there's also these walkers. So we actually get to see Lydia killing some of these walkers and some of these Whisperers, and we see her kicking ass, which is very exciting, very cool to see. And she's just kicking major ass, and it's pretty cool how they have kind of changed our perspective of Lydia, because when she was first introduced and we saw her, none of us thought that she would be in this position and she would actually fight with us against the Whisperers. So it's very cool to see actually this come to play and how she's changed and she's actually helping these survivors. And for anyone who had doubt about whether she was on our side or the Whisperer side, she's with us. So it's pretty cool. She's kicking ass, and there's even one point where one of the Whisperers kind of questions her and says that you believe in their ways, that's why you're with them, basically calling her weak in some ways and things like that. But we actually see Lydia ignoring these Whisperers, which is pretty cool, and killing all of them, which kind of makes her a better character in my opinion. There's a lot of layers to her character now, because even though these survivors are the reason why she's basically losing her family in some ways, because she doesn't believe in the ways of these Whisperers and thinks that they're monsters, that the survivors are actually there to save her. So they actually saved her. So it's very cool to see that. And we see her just killing these walkers, which is very cool. And there's this one panel where she's like kicking one of them and shooting the other, which is very cool to see. The artwork is just amazing. Then going from there, we actually get to see what happens inside the houses. The big house, of course. We have Sophia, who's saving Baby Herschel. So we're beginning to see some badass moments from Sophia as well, which is very cool. She saves Baby Herschel, takes Baby Herschel outside, and then we have Maggie, who's saying that we have to go now. And then Carl says there are still people trapped. I'm gonna go save them. You guys go outside. And then Maggie, of course, says, I should be doing that. Saying that I'm the leader, I should be doing that. But Carl refuses. He just jumps into action and goes upstairs to find the people to evacuate them before they get killed in this fire and in this attack. And it's very cool to see this badass side of Carl again. And given that we just saw Carl's badass moments in the TV show just recently, it's kind of cool how these things are working together. And I love how these two mediums kind of complement one another. And then of course Carl goes out, knocks on all these people's doors and tells them to evacuate, which is pretty cool. Going back to how the show is kind of complementing the comic book, for this part, I kept thinking about the hilltop, the house at the hilltop in the TV show and how it looks. And it kind of helped me put things into perspective of where things are, how big the house is, and what he needs to do. There's even one point where he says, kind of follow the wall to the stairs and go down. And I kept thinking of the actual image of the house they're using at the hilltop in the TV show, which is very cool. So it's cool that these two mediums, they actually complement one another quite well. And I'm really enjoying the way that's playing out in this issue. As Carl is saving the people in the house, there's just debris falling from the roof and he gets hit and falls down. But everyone makes it out okay, which is good. But then we have Carl, he's just unconscious lying on the ground. And he tries to go out, but he's unsuccessful and he just blacks out. At that moment, I really thought that they were going to kill Carl off. And I kept saying, not Carl, don't kill him now, Kirkman. And it was very tense and I really wanted Carl to get out. And it was very cool that it gave me that emotion. But at the same time, I really wanted him to survive. And for a split second, I actually thought they either killed him off or were going to kill him off. But I'm very glad that he actually survives, because later on we see Aaron save Carl, which is very cool to see. And I'm glad that Aaron was there to save him. We gotta remember, Aaron was actually stabbed and he was still healing. So to save Carl in that situation and feeling the way he was feeling and being in the position he was, it's very cool. And you could look at Aaron as a hero now, and he's just gone up a few levels of badassery in my opinion. And there's even that one point where he's joking with the doctor, which was very cool to see. That joke there. Then we go back to Maggie and Sophia and the others. They get out and they're just killing all of these walkers. They're keeping their formation and they're just killing these walkers and the Whisperers. And by the end of it, it seems like there's no more Whisperers left. So there's just walkers. So they just kill these walkers. And then there's these cool panels with them just fighting back. There's this one panel where we actually see a big long shot of the hilltop that's under attack. We see all of these Whisperers or walkers, and then we see these guards trying to fight back, and there's just fire everywhere, and I love that panel itself. But then coming down, we see a panel with each person just fighting back and hitting back. And it reminds me a lot of No Way Out. And it's cool how this kind of parallelism exists between No Way Out and the Whisper War. And then we get this page of Maggie with baby Herschel just grabbing on her leg, and there's just walkers everywhere. But she says yay, and she appears to have kind of killed all the walkers, and she's very happy. And she looks up and says, "We won." And the way it's drawn and the way she looks, it seems like she is glad that they have won, that there was no casualties. And she basically has this confident look that we can do anything, that we've done it. But, of course, we know that Beta and the others are outside, and even later on we see Beta basically saying they think they've won and they're probably letting their guards down, but now it's time to end it. And how he's probably going to end it is go back to his camp, like he said, and gather more walkers. Because if you look back at the issue where Alpha showed Rick the amount of walkers she has at her disposal, we saw a very large number, and the portion that went into the hilltop was only a small section of that. So Beta still has a big portion of walkers at his disposal now to fight back against the survivors, either sending them to the hilltop again, probably not because it's basically ruined, but probably back to Alexandria and even maybe the kingdom. I'm not sure if the Whisperers even know about the kingdom or not. I don't think there's been any instance when they've been led to believe that there was another community, but if they do know about it, they can have kind of a section attack the kingdom and one section attack Alexandria. But we see that this wasn't really their plan. Their plan wasn't to actually kill them all off at the hilltop. Their plan was to destroy them in a way that they lose one of their communities and they're forced to go to one community. And that way he can just finish things off by sending all the walkers to that community. But it's very cool to see how smart Beta is and how strategic he is in his plan. And then we have another part where we see Vincent back, and if you remember, Vincent went to the sanctuary to ask for their help in the war, but they ended up telling him that they are not going to help and stealing his horse. In this issue, we have Rick talking with Vincent and finding out the situation with the Saviors and how they don't want to help, and everything is very concerning to Rick, and Rick believes that things are really getting out of control. So he tells Andrea to kind of be ready for anything. So look out for the Whisperers and for the Saviors, because the Saviors, of course, are not following through with helping them. And to Rick, it's unacceptable, and he can't continue with not thinking about the Saviors because he knows it's going to come back and bite him in the ass. So he's going to have the Saviors in mind as well. He's going to kind of look at both as the enemy at the moment, which is very cool. And then we have this conversation between them about things being hard, but then Rick says things have never been easy, and they both agree that they hope things were easier. And I'm assuming by the looks of it, things aren't gonna get easier anytime soon, even after the Whisper War. But it was a cool little conversation between the two. And then we have one section where one of the members of the kingdom is basically saying they're attacking the hilltop. So I don't know if they're going to help out or not. I was led to believe previously that they didn't want to help, that William didn't want to help, but we have to wait and see what William does, if he's going to help them or not. Then, of course, there's this part where Magna was forced to cut the hand of one of the people there. I think it was one of the people that came with her initially when we were first introduced to her, but it's just very emotional. We have her cutting the arm, and it's brutal, and they're screaming and everything. And then we have Dwight and Negan talking. Negan's still shocked by Lucille's death and basically Lucille being destroyed. But then Dwight calls him disgusting, says there's a person losing their arm just a few feet from you, but then you're here crying over a bat. And we have Negan saying, you don't know what it meant to me, and basically about to explain why Lucille meant so much to him before Dwight just shuts him down and says, I don't care. Now, because we know about Negan's backstory now with Here's Negan, we have a pretty good idea of how close Negan was with Lucille because of the connection he had with the bat. But of course Dwight doesn't know this. But it's very interesting how they've humanized Negan to an extent. Because before we even got Here's Negan, if we had something like this, of course we would act the same as Dwight. We would be like, what the hell is Negan talking about? But now, we're kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, and we're feeling for him, so it's very cool. Then we have this little conversation between Eugene and someone else about transferring the bullets to Alexandria, and we have Eugene saying that we have to do it and everything, even if it's this late at night. But the other guy says, why? And he says that this is what we're good for. We're not just living, we're surviving. And we have to survive by providing these bullets to Alexandrians. And I just think, again, with the TV show and comic book, the parallelism that's going on, it's pretty amazing. Because just last episode, a little bit of TV show spoilers, by the way, for anyone who's not caught up with the TV show, but we have Eugene and Rosita talking about making bullets. We have Eugene saying that he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to cause any more conflict. But then here, we have Eugene pushing for it. So it's like very interesting how there's this parallelism going on between the TV show and the comic book, where the two are at the moment. But I love Eugene in this issue as well. He's becoming more and more of a favorite because of what he's doing and how heroic his actions are. Even though he's not in the front lines fighting, he is still trying to do what he can to contribute. And then of course we have this part at the very end, which was very cool to see. We have Tara coming back and she's basically having a conversation with Sherry, and they're basically saying whether they should get involved with the war or not. And Sherry says, I believe in Rick Grimes. And at that moment, I was a bit confused because there's been moments where we think that Sherry is not really liking the survivors, the other survivors, and especially with the thing going on between her and Dwight. But then in this part, we think that maybe she's coming back. But then we realize what her true intentions are because she says, let them fight it out. I'm pretty sure Rick is gonna win. He's strong, he's gonna win, and then we'll come and take everything once he does. So she's basically waiting for Rick to take care of the Whisperers and then afterwards coming to take everything and kill them all off. We actually get to see her true intentions, which is very cool to see. Now, that's the cliffhanger for the next issue, which is the last issue in the arc of the Whisperer War. And I'm very excited for that, to see what happens. In this specific issue, I thought we were going to get a death or two, but we didn't. But I think we definitely will in the last issue. Now, the things that are going to happen afterwards are probably going to be the events brewing between the communities, between the Sanctuary and Alexandria, and then that's going to spill over to after the war, of course. We're going to see what happens with the people at the hilltop coming back, and that's probably going to be resolved in the next issue. The other thing that's going to happen is this conflict between the Saviors and the survivors, like I said. And it's going to be interesting to see whether that's going to lead to another major conflict, or is it going to be something that's going to be quickly resolved. And then, of course, we have the thing with Eugene and the radio community as well, so that's going to become a big part of what's going to happen in the next arc as well. But I'm very excited to see what happens next. In this arc, we have one more issue left. In terms of rating, I would give this issue a mid-grade rating. It was very good. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of events. There was some character development. We got some big reveals. We got some interesting conversations and dialogue. Overall, I really enjoyed the issue. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.